So with a scalpel, so we're doing our trees, so if you just sort of cut it so that it's not dead straight, it's a bit wobbly, and we go sort of thick to thin, so we then end up with two tree trunks that get a bit thinner. You can trim it down a bit as well if it's a bit thick. And then I'm just going to do one. And stick it to our trousers so that it isn't really sticky. We'll take a bit of the adhesive off. So. So then onto your sheet of paper.
So we're going portrait.
Yeah, well, I thought we'd do portrait. You've got landscape, doesn't matter, nice to have a bit of variety. So thicker end at the bottom, and then just pop your masking tape trees onto your watercolour paper. Oops. I've got a spare one here if anybody wants one.
Please. Scalpel.
Oh, scalpel.
Thanks, the spare tree.
Spare tree.
I like that.
If you want to sort of try and twist them a little bit, you can do. So they go off the page. So we've got our trees taped down. What we're going to do is we're going to put this sort of dark, murky background to suggest trees, and then a little bit of a lightness in the sky. So we'll start off just with clean water, and I'm going to wet down to about here, so not down below the base of the trees, down to about there. So just with clean water, and I always leave a little bit, so it's a bit at an angle. I always like to leave a little bit of dry paper around the edge. Doesn't matter if you haven't done that. So if you watch first, because we need to work quite quickly once we get going. So, and then you'll be watching your paint rather than watching me. So you can tilt it to sort of hopefully see where your wet edge is, which is just there. And the first thing I'm going to do is with my blue, whether it's ultramarine or Prussian blue or phthalo blue, something like that, just test the strength of it, and then I'm just going to put a bit of that on the top. I want it quite wishy-washy because we've got this sort of almost laden sky full of snow, and then get a stronger mix. There's my darker blue, this is the Prussian blue, which is a much darker blue, and pop that into your edge of your water. So we've got a good strong mix in here. I'm using flat, you could use a round, doesn't really matter. I'm going to put some magenta or permanent rose or alizarin crimson into that, so that will mix and give me sort of purpley colours. So again, I'm just dabbing it on, not worrying too much. Nice strong colours. You can always go stronger, but try and keep them nice and strong colours. I've got a alizarin crimson here, which is going to be slightly different. And I should have put some black. I've got, I don't know whether that's black or blue, that one. That's my blue. I'll come back in with some black. Now tilt it up the wrong way. So tilt it up so that the paint can run that way. And we can up the paper. Because what we want to do is to try and get a sort of slightly spiky feel. We can drop some more water in. so we'll get the idea of trees in the background. We can give it a bit of a helping hand as well sometimes, just add a bit more paint or water. And we just want to let that bleed in and give us a sort of misty feel of trees in the distance. And I do need some black to just darken down there, so I'm just going to get some, which I think I've got in here, of the Payne's Grey. So Payne's Grey is, I think it's a mixture, I can never quite remember, but it's a bluey black. It's got a bit of blue, a bit of red and a bit of black in it. I think it was Thomas Payne that developed this colour, but we will drop some of that in on the base as well. So I want to keep it nice and wet so that it flows in. So the water really is doing the work for us. Also, if we wanted, we could sprinkle a little bit of salt in, which does give us a few different textures. I'm not going to put too much on, but we've used salt before and it just gives it a bit of texture, and it sucks up the pigment. We'll just put a little bit on. And then what we want to do is to leave that slightly tilted. Just let that dry. That's why it's a good idea to have a couple